Hey guys, today's lesson, is Chapter 7, Lesson 1, Powers and Exponents. I did give you a handout to copy your notes on, but go ahead and title in your notebook this lesson. That way when you glue your handout in, you know where it goes. All right, so your objective is 6.7a. I can explain the following vocabulary terms: base, exponent, power, perfect square, and equivalent expressions. In our notes tonight, we're focusing on base, exponent, and power, and then in class, we'll look at perfect square and equivalent expressions. So number one, our problem is 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. So we know whenever we are multiplying, we use factors. So in this case, our factor is the number 6. But what do you notice? Well, we used the same number more than once. So we used 6 as a factor more than one time. So in this equation, or this expression, we're going to call 6 our base. And 6 is our base because it is the number used as a factor. And go ahead and box in, underline, circle, somehow indicate that base is one of our vocabulary terms. Okay, so again, 6 is our base because 6 is the number used as a factor. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite our equation over here because we're going to work this out. 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. Okay, well, what's another way that we could write this expression? Well, since we're using the same number as a factor multiple times, we can use an exponent to represent it. So I want you to underline and number how many times you see the number 6 in the equation. So we see it 4 times. So if we want to rewrite this, this can become 6, because 6 is our factor, to the 4th power. Okay, and this is what we call an exponent. Okay, and the exponent tells how many times a base is used as a factor. Okay, so for example, we already identified that 6 is our base. So I want you to go ahead and box in the word base. And then I want you to draw an arrow, and we're going to label 6 as our base because it is our number used as a factor. And then we're going to circle 4 and we're going to label it as our exponent because 4, our exponent 4, is telling us that we use 6 4 times. Okay, so we basically simplified our expression. All right, so let's look at number 2, another example. So we have 4 times 4 times 4. Okay, well, 4 is our base because it's our factor, or a number used as a factor, excuse me. Let's actually change this to an arrow because we're not actually solving, so I don't want to confuse you guys thinking that that's what that equals. We're actually just simplifying. We're not actually solving it yet. Okay, well, how many times did we use 4 as a factor? 1, 2, 3. So we can rewrite this with our exponent, showing 4 as our base and 3 as our exponent. Because we used 4 as a factor 3 times. All right, let's look at number 3. We're going to express 5 to the second power as a product of the same factor, then determine the value. Okay? So, notice I said 5 to the second power. Well, why did I say that? Because numbers expressed using exponents, just like this one, are called powers. Okay, let's use this space down here. So I have 5 to the second power, which means I'm using 5 as a factor 2 times. Okay, 2 times. So now we want to work that out. Well, we have 5 times 5. Well, we know 5 times 5 gives us 25. So 5 to the second power is equal to 25. Okay, let's make it a little bit more challenging. Flip it over. Okay, now it says express 1 and 5/10 to the third power as a product of the same factor. Then determine the value. Okay, well, let's simplify it. So we have 1 and 5/10 to the third power, which means I'm using 1 and 5/10 as a factor 3 times. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. First, we're going to solve for 1 and 5/10 times 1 and 5/10. Okay, it's just regular multiplication. Okay, I have 1 place value here, 1 place value here. So in our answer, we need 2 place values behind our decimal. So this solves for 2 and 25/100ths. And we still need to solve for 1 and 5/10. So over here we have 2 and 25/100ths times 1 and 5/10. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. 10, 11. This is 5, 2, and 2. Okay, we had 2 place values behind our decimal here, 1 place value here. So in our answer, we need 3 place values behind our decimal. And our answer is 3 and 375 thousandths. Okay, number 5, last one. We're going to express 1 and a half to the third power as a product of the same factor. So that means we're using 1 and a half as a factor. How many times? That's right, 3. Okay, oops. I said 3 and I wrote 3. So 2, 1 and a half. Okay, we're going to use our number bond again. So I'm using 1 and a half times 1 and a half. And you guys know how to multiply fractions. Multiply your numerators together, denominators together. 2 times 2, we get 1/4. So we have 1/4 times 1/2 left. Go over here to show our work. Same thing. Numerators together and numerators together. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. So our answer is 1/8. Okay, and let's go ahead and say that 1½ to the 3rd power is equal to 1/8. All right, make sure you bring this to class with you tomorrow. I'll see you guys then.